Has Texas Matthew McConaughey become college football's version of Taylor Swift? Matthew McConaughey has become the famous face of Texas Longhorns football. A lifelong fan that went to Texas in the late 80s/early 90s, the Minister of Culture is a persistent presence during Longhorn games. It is certainly nothing new. McConaughey was on the sidelines in the Rose Bowl when Vince Young and Texas won the 2005 national title against USC. The actor even partied with Young that night after the game. That's almost 20 years ago. Texas fans are used to it. Most Texas fans either like it or are amused by it, but if you watch a lot of Texas football, either as a UT fan or not, it seems to be becoming a little much. Twitter was buzzing during the Clemson game with comparisons of McConaughey to Taylor Swift. Swift, of course, is the girlfriend of Kansas City Chiefs Travis Kelce and is a constant go-to for TV cameras broadcasting the game. Every time Kelce touches the ball, the network goes to a cutaway of Swift for her reaction. That is what McConaughey has become if you're watching a Texas game. Cameras cut to Texas, #1 fan early and often. McConaughey's influence on the program seems to have grown over the years along his fame and wealth. Where he used to get a simple sideline pass and occasionally talk to the team at practice, the program has embraced his presence and even celebrated. McConaughey is in promo material. He's allowed to run out of the tunnel onto the field. He's allowed to grab the mic at the stadium and lead the crowd in cheers. He's in hype videos. He's everywhere. Obviously, there are a lot of benefits to having such a high-profile celebrity as your program's superfan. He helps with recruiting. He helps with hype. He even helped former Texas Bijan Robinson get a movie role. In 2019, he was literally named as UT's Minister of Culture. The title basically makes him the face of Longhorn spirit. But even Texas coach Steve Sarkisian has asked McConaughey to back off a bit. The dazed and confused star used to talk to players more. Speaking on the Eli Manning show recently, McConaughey pointed out that he doesn't interact with them much anymore, saying, "So Sark, he wants to be a singular voice." It's not all McConaughey's fault. When looking for cutaways, the producers and directors that work game broadcasts look for celebrities and families. With his cowboy hat and leather jacket, McConaughey is an easy cutaway go-to. Same with Taylor Swift, but anything becomes too much for many people. Some fans probably hope McConaughey would be self-aware enough to back off a little. But that's rare in the world of celebrity. And honestly, how many Longhorns fans would want to back off if they had his access and influence? Love him or hate him, the 55-year-old actor is all in on Texas football. He's not going anywhere. Let's just hope if Texas wins the title Sark gets to hold the trophy before McConaughey does.
Hey, football fans, welcome back to the channel. Are you ready to break down the biggest surprises and takeaways from the college football playoffs first round? Well, buckle up because we've got some serious blowouts to talk about. I mean, Texas just wrecked Clemson, and honestly, the whole weekend felt like watching a heavyweight fight where one fighter was just too powerful to lose. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest playoff action and more. Share this video with your friends who love football. And let's break down why these games went exactly the way they did. 1. Texas versus Clemson. A pattern that's starting to emerge. Alright, let's talk about the biggest game of the weekend, Texas versus Clemson. Now, Clemson fans, I'm not here to rub it in, but I gotta be real. Texas just dominated this game in a way that's becoming almost too familiar in these college football playoff matchups. And when I say dominated, I mean it was like watching a high school kid face off against a toddler in a tug-of-war competition. Sure, Cade Klubnik tried to make it interesting. I'll give him credit. He's a competitor and kept fighting, even making it a one-score game early in the fourth. But let's be real here. The moment Clemson got to the Texas 5-yard line and faced a critical 3rd and goal, the writing was on the wall. Texas stuffed 3 straight rushes. And that was basically game over. 38-24 Texas advances to the quarterfinals. And I don't think anyone was really shocked. But here's the thing. This game followed a familiar pattern that we saw in the first round of the expanded college football playoff. Think about it. Penn State blew out SMU 38-10. Notre Dame cruised past Indiana 27-17. And Ohio State gave Tennessee a 42-17 beatdown. This is turning into a trend. People. And it's all about winning the line of scrimmage. 2. Why all these blowouts? The secret sauce. Offensive and defensive lines. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, wait, these teams look like juggernauts. Why's the competition so one-sided? Let me break it down. It's because of one simple thing: dominant line play. Forget the flashy QB plays, the bomb throws, and the highlight catches. It all starts in the trenches. And in this first round, the teams that dominated up front ran the show. Let's talk about Texas for a second. On offense, they just bullied Clemson's defensive line. Texas ran for 292 yards to 292 yards. Are you kidding me? Jaden Blue had those two insane touchdown runs of 77 and 38 yards. Meanwhile, Clemson? 76 rushing yards total. I mean, how are you supposed to win when you get pushed around like that? But it's not just about the run game, it's also about the defensive line. Texas's defensive front absolutely lived in Clemson's backfield, pressuring Cade Klubnik on almost every single snap. If you watched the game, you saw Klubnik running for his life and getting sacked left and right. Texas's defensive line showed exactly what happens when you control the game from up front. And it wasn't just Texas. Look at Notre Dame against Indiana. They outrushed the Hoosiers 193-63. Penn State did the same thing to SMU with 185 yards to 58. Even Ohio State, which crushed Tennessee, had the same recipe for success: 4 sacks, consistent pressure, and completely neutralizing Tennessee's offense. 3. The College Football Playoff Committee's dilemma: selecting the right teams. Here's where it gets interesting. The College Football Playoff Committee has a tough job. They're the ones who decide who gets in. And with a 12-team playoff coming soon, you'd think this would be easier. Right? Wrong. In the first round, the committee's picks looked questionable when you see how easily some teams were dominated. Now, I'm not trying to bash on Indiana and SMU. But come on. Clemson had more pedigree than both of them. And they got rolled by Texas. And don't get me started on those 2-3-loss SEC teams. Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. They didn't get into the playoff. But let's be honest, if you put them in against these teams, would they have done better in the trenches? Probably. I mean, Alabama's offensive and defensive lines are typically top tier. Ole Miss has been solid. And South Carolina had a tough schedule but could have matched up physically in these kinds of games. It's a tough pill to swallow for fans of those teams, especially when you see how much line play was a factor in these first-round blowouts. 4. The importance of line play in college football. Here's the deal. In modern football, especially with all the flashy spread offenses and air raid systems, we sometimes forget about the basics, and the basics are line play. At the end of the day, if you can win up front, you're going to win the game. And this first round of the playoff showed us just how important it really is. Let's put it in perspective. You can have the flashiest quarterback or the most talented skill players. But if your O-line can't block and your D-line can't get pressure, you're going to get steamrolled. Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Ohio State all showed that. They controlled the trenches. They ran the ball down their opponents' throats. And they didn't give the other teams a chance to establish their rhythm. It's the foundation of any good football team. And with these teams dominating the line of scrimmage, it's no wonder the games felt non-competitive. So, for all the QB hype, maybe it's time we start paying more attention to the big boys up front. So, there you have it, folks. A first round full of blowouts. And the key takeaway is clear. Win the line of scrimmage. And you're in control. It's a lesson that everyone in the playoff needs to learn. Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State, and Ohio State showed us how important the battle in the trenches really is. What do you think about these blowouts? Did the committee make the right picks? And who's your pick to go all the way this year? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, and I'm pretty sure you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this